This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 351. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and stogie lighting, Adam Emery.
Yeah, I definitely lit a stogie before this. I thought maybe I could smoke away the pain of being 2-4. After one puff, I think that's not going to work.
It might take a little more than that. You might need something a little bit stronger.
Yeah. Well, I kind of cut a lot of the beer out in October, so I wasn't going to drink tonight. So I get to relive these memories.
Here we
sober.
go.
The memories of TJ Watt sealing our season.
TJ Watt, that was, well, as good as TJ Watt was, it didn't really help so much that Geno Smith just decided to throw the ball like straight at him multiple times. But, we can get it. There's one place I want to start before we get into the game, though. And that is the latest on Darrell Taylor, because we saw him go down and be on the field for, what seemed like a really long time. And thank goodness that through all these updates throughout the week, Darrell Taylor might even play against the Saints, which is crazy considering just how scary it was in the moment in that game against the Steelers.
It was scary. It's just because of the protocol, right, that makes it scary. I think, just the few things that happened while I was on the field. I listened to the game live. I had to rewatch it later and listen to Rabel talk about it and everything. He was moving his hands,
moving his legs. And he was actually kind of kicking his legs at one point. And so that's when I was thinking, okay, well, that's a good sign. But I mean, still, when you have guys like Cam Chancellor that end up going out.
First thing that came to mind.
And Cliff and... Mm-hmm. I mean, I know each one of those injuries were different, but you think about those guys and not being able to come back. And if they're getting those kinds of reports that make them even think about the fact that he can play on Monday night is very good news.
Well, it speaks to the professionalism of the medical staffs and everything that they do. I mean, even though that it may have looked like he was in the clear, or at least all signs pointed positive, let's take all of the precautions as if it's going to be negative.
Right.
And to, prevent anything. It was the right move. I'm glad everything worked out. And kind of a fluky play, too. It's not like he got hit real hard or anything. It was just weird.
No. And if, the dude he was running into maybe had less of a belly, maybe his neck doesn't get pushed back quite as hard. But it was Al Woods, and the dude has a little bit of a gut on him.
I'm thinking Al Wood's belly actually absorbed a lot of the shock, and that's why Darrell Taylor might be able to play this week.
Okay, well, it could be, a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. So, thanks to Al Wood's belly for the assist.
Well, it was a loss. The Seahawks fall to 2-4. They lose it in overtime. They had a chance to win this game, and because they lost, where we're going to start out, and that is with someone taking the blame. And so we start out with Corbin, who says, hey, guys, I would like to take some blame for this loss. I couldn't watch in the fourth quarter, and we start doing well during it. Then I put on the game in overtime. Geno gets sacked on third down. Then we get the stop. Then Geno fumbles. I disturb the Hawkra. Should I not watch the next game? Let's get a win next week, and we'll have Russell back in no time. Go Hawks, from Corbin.
Yeah, go Hawks, Corbin. I don't know that it's Corbin's fault for turning on the game. Like, I don't think that it was his issue there. I think that kind of what happened in overtime was a culmination of how things went throughout the fourth quarter in terms of Damian Lewis going down, in terms of Alex Collins going down. And it was kind of then when the offense became a little stagnant. And then on top of all of that, they missed the opportunity to cash in on points after the Roethlisberger fumble.
Yes.
And that was a backbreaker right there. That's one of those when that goes down in real time, you go, damn, you can't miss those opportunities. You got to at least get 3 there.
Well, and when the moment happens, too, you're thinking, okay, they've climbed back into it, because after going down 14-0 going into halftime, I mean, I don't know about you, but at halftime, I'm thinking, this probably just isn't their day. They can't get anything going. They ran the ball 0 times in the second quarter, which is a little bit hard to believe in hindsight, especially considering the way they ran the ball in the third quarter. And the fact that that's the way they were able to get back into it with Alex Collins running behind the line. And they had a drive where they ran the ball just about every single play, apart from a little pitch out to DK Metcalf, where it was essentially a running play. But yeah, going back to the Big Ben fumble, and holy smokes, could the officials have taken any longer to make that call that seems so obvious? After that, then they get the holding call on offense and backs them up 10 yards. And from
Which
there,
was on Jamarco Jones, by the way.
Yeah.
The replacement for Damian Lewis.
Yeah. I thought it was a Fetty, but yeah, I think it was Jamarco.
It was Jamarco. It was.
Anytime an offensive lineman gets a penalty, I'm still in the habit of blaming Jermaine Ifedi.
Catfish! Ifedi. Yeah, that one goes to your head
Pretty
every
much.
time.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Man, you've got some Seahawks PTSD.
Yeah. The ghost of Ifedi.
He's still hot in the NFL up in Chicago, so I guess,
Yeah, they had their opportunity. They if they get points there and just that shift of momentum, shoot, maybe they don't even need overtime.
Yeah, that's kind of the thinking, right? I mean, you have an opportunity to kick the game winner at the end of the game at that point. I mean, and who knows if you do get points there, maybe the rest of the game doesn't go exactly as it did, but it definitely felt like that was a golden opportunity with the offense running in spurts and fits and really only having success running it up the middle. You figured that they would make that adjustment, and they finally did. I mean, Cam Hayward started blowing stuff up inside, and the Steelers were totally prepared for it going into the fourth quarter. They made a good in-game adjustment.
Yeah, between Hayward beating up Damian Lewis, between TJ Watt punching Alex Collins like he was his own personal punching bag at one point in the game.
When I saw the replay, I just couldn't believe how flagrant that was. But then again, I'm honestly not surprised. I mean, this is a scourge in the league right now. I remember watching Adams on I think it was a second down play, and he hits the receiver 2 yards short of the first down. But instead of wrapping up and taking him down, he just starts, throwing haymakers at the football, and then he spins out, picks up the first down. Another DB comes up, makes a tackle. And it's like, I understand that you want to try to create turnovers. I do. And especially with this defense not creating turnovers, I mean, you need to somehow figure out a way to get that done. But then again, you stop them there, and now it's third down, and maybe you get the stop and you get them off the field. I want to say that was a scoring drive for the Steelers. So it's one of those things with the defense where you want them to take some risks. And this is kind of the story of the game too, defensively. You want them to take some risks in order to create some chaos and maybe get some big plays. But there are downsides to taking those risks and, going after the ball all the time. Sure, you're not as sure of a tackler. Also, bringing Jamal off the edge all the time. Well, now you're dropping a lineman in coverage. And there was a lot of times where Ben targeted the D lineman in coverage, not to mention the touchdown that he threw over top of Mayo.
Yeah, well, that was the one that immediately came to mind because you had Jamal rushing in from the bottom of the screen, and Benson Mayoa being in the outside linebacker spot in that situation. It is his job to cover Najee Harris out of the backfield, but that's a huge mismatch. Like, Benson Mayoa doesn't need to be covering a guy with that kind of speed. And you saw how easy it was in space for Ben to just toss up the ball and Najee Harrison for the touchdown.
Oh, and look, if Ben doesn't see him right out of the gate, maybe he's going through a different progression. Maybe they don't leak the back on that play, and now the Jamal Adams blitz gets there, and all of a sudden it's a great play, right? So there's some scheme things here that they're doing to try to turn up the heat with the defense and try to fix this porous defense. And it does make for some boom and bust sort of deals.
Well, and the thing is, too, in this game, I don't know if you can necessarily blame the defense when they hold the Pittsburgh offense to that few points. It did give Geno and the Seahawks offense the opportunity to win the game. Now, if they don't give up 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, maybe it turns out a little bit differently. Maybe if the offensive game plan in the second quarter was a little bit different. I mentioned it before. I mean, did Shane Waldron forget who his quarterback was? Because 0 runs in the second quarter. I really don't have much of an issue if your quarterback is Russell Carrington Wilson, but your quarterback's Geno Smith, and you're running up against pass rushers like TJ Watt and Cam Hayward.
Yeah, for sure. Now, also in the first quarter, they weren't having a lot of success running the football. I mean, they were testing the edges and trying to get outside on that defense, which I understand that makes sense because they do have a stout front. But once that wasn't working, then in the second quarter, they're like, well, okay, let's put it in the air a little bit. Let's soften these guys up. So I understand the thought process. And they also believe in Geno. I mean, you pay Geno for a reason. I mean, you bring him in to be a suitable backup. And hey, we almost got the perfect Geno performance. It did okay. And, just enough to win all that. It was so close and just came up a little short. But I think we can all agree now that Geno is just anti-clutch.
Yeah, he is Tavares Jackson, right? I mean, it's similar to that kind of player to where you really need to take a lead into the fourth quarter and allow him to protect the lead so much as go out there and get the win.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, and he almost did it too. He got him down there for the field goal at the end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah. After the Steelers went up 20-17, he was able to march him down the field and, get the ball to DK multiple times. Now, that play to DK where he didn't go out of bounds and got the ball punched out of his hands and nearly ended the game right there. If not for a heads up play by Freddie Swain, then fortunately they were able to kick the field goal there and send it into overtime.
They were. And look, I know people have piled on DK a little bit for the play, including Shannon Sharp. Now, I kind of don't blame him in that situation. You're on your backup quarterback. You're on your third string running back. You've got backup offensive linemen. Like, if you can just win the game right there, break that one tackle and score. I mean, that's the type of plays that you need out of the other stars to try to elevate this team while Russell's on the sideline. So I understand his thought process.
I know that that's what he's thinking, but I still think in that situation, if you go out of bounds with 15 seconds left, you have another opportunity to run a play or two before kicking the field goal.
Yeah, you could have a chance for another play downfield, but again, it's Geno. It's not Russ.
Yeah. And we did see what happened right before the field goal to tie it up at 17, where they had a 3rd and 2, and Geno ends up getting sacked for 18 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah. And the thing about that sack, too, that was really a bummer was Geno had Disley as his quick outlet. Just dart it at his feet. Just throw it at his feet. You got to get rid of that ball.
Don't take that sack.
Another trip into Steeler territory in the first half that caught my ire was they end up at 4th and 5 on the Steelers, 44, something around there.
That was still 0-0. I think it was the first quarter still.
Yes, I know. Once again,
it's Geno.
You're the backup quarterback. You're all that. These are the risks you need to take. You gotta do things differently than you normally would.
Yeah.
You can't. And not only that, but they punt it and it ends up being a touchback. So, again,
that one should have been down, though. They made the great play to knock it back in, and then Cody Barton gets it and then falls into the end zone.
And more often than not, it doesn't work. And on top of all of that, I mean, this is a defense that has been just jellied all freaking season, and they're gonna get the ball at the 5 instead of the 20, and then they're gonna take an extra 2 minutes off the clock, and now your time of possession's even wonkier. And now that defensive line wears down even sooner than it did in the fourth quarter when finally Harris started breaking off runs.
Pete Carroll is never going to go for it in that situation with the tie game at 0-0 and in the first quarter. It's not going to happen.
It's pedal to the metal time. We're in desperation mode. Right now, from here on out for the rest of this season, you're in a 2-minute offense, proverbially. It's just, you're 2-4 now.
You are in a hole now that is going to be difficult to dig out of. The Seahawks really needed that game against the Steelers, especially considering the game that they have coming up against the Saints. Now, the Jaguars game, you absolutely cannot lose, but this game against the Saints is a game that you have the potential to lose because of some of the players that they have, the defense that they have, and I think this game against the Saints is going to be tougher than the one against the Steelers.
It's definitely going to be tougher. Yeah, Alvin Kamara is a totally different beast. Last time I saw Alvin Kamara in person, he was ripping us a new one all up and down the field. I am not excited to see Alvin Kamara again. And not only that, but the Steelers team, because Rabel and Wyman on the radio were just talking nonstop. Well, the defense has really put in a great effort. Like, look at the improvement in the defense. The defense is so much better. You got to give the defense a lot of credit. I'm so happy with the defense is showing so much improvement. Blah, 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 blah. The defense didn't show all that much improvement. They played the Steelers, okay?
Right.
They haven't been able to run the ball all year. And then on top of that, Ben Roethlisberger has a noodle arm now, and he doesn't want to get hit. So this was an offense that you should stymie, that should struggle against you.
And they still got 14 points in the second quarter.
Look, and they're going to score a little bit. I get that. And I'm not even mad at the total in points. I'm just saying that I'm not looking at this and being like, oh, well, look, they figured out a bunch of stuff on defense. It's so much better.
Jamal Adams had 2 balls that he could have potentially intercepted. You know who we don't have to pile on? Trey Brown.
He had that nice stick in overtime, man. That was impressive. That was very impressive.
That was almost a game-winning stick. It got the ball back to the offense. If they're able to make the drive after that would have been a huge play for the rookie.
Yeah, that was definitely a harken back to LOB days right there. I mean, I love seeing that kind of physical play. You could give DeeJay Reed some credit too. I thought he was very sticky in coverage all game.
Had some passes defensed.
He played well. I thought Diggs was good in terms of just covering things over the top, and then also coming up and laying some wood on some runs throughout the game. Bobby played well. You know, the pass rush was kind of non-existent. That was
part of that was due to Ben. Yeah. Just getting rid of the ball quickly.
Yep. So there's a bit of that. So yeah, it definitely was an okay game by the defense. I don't think I'm ready to jump off the fire Ken Norton bus yet.
No, probably not yet.
So, which also leads to the question, you know, some people call him for Pete's head again.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And look, is this season ideal? No. Is it a dumpster fire to this point? Absolutely. Did that team quit on Pete Carroll last Sunday?
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
Down 14 nothing. They had the opportunity to quit at halftime.
Yep. To roll over. And that's always how I judge whether or not you can a head coach during a regular season. I mean, unless they have like some scandalous emails that leak or whatever, Gruden, then, you know, as long as they're playing hard for the coach and there's some other circumstances like your star quarterback's out.
Speaking of scandalous emails, when are we going to get the Sean McVay emails? He was in Washington during that time. I'm waiting for the Sean McVay emails to come out.
That's an excellent point. Well, football has to work in LA, so.
And that might just be wishful thinking on my part.
Yeah. I hope you leave that slipping. That was
good. Anytime I can leave a fart in the show.
Especially in conjunction with McVay. That always feels good. So a tough game. I thought that they might be able to pull that one off. That was one of them that they needed to have while Russ is out. Definitely a disappointment.
In terms of need to have, though, I think it's going to end up being a need to have game because it was a game they could have won and went into overtime. And I'm not as optimistic about the game with the Saints, but if they go 2-0 then into the bye week, I think that salvages at least this first half of the season.
Yeah, at that point, you're 500.
Yeah.
That would be best case scenario. I'm not optimistic when it comes to the Saints. But then again, it's all going to come down to, do we get good Jameis Winston or do we get bad Jameis Winston? And if we get bad Jameis Winston, you're saying there's a chance.
there is a chance. But, you know, I went back and I watched some of the Saints-Giants game because the Giants beat the Saints and the Giants are terrible.
Yeah.
And I even saw some good Jameis in that game where he was chucking it deep down the field, you know, splitting safeties and getting some big plays. And I think they even had a decent game from Kamara in that game too. So now I can realize that bad Jameis can ruin things awfully quick for a Saints team, but I don't know. I don't know what to expect necessarily, although I do expect Kamara to have a big game, unless they can figure out a way. You know what I'd like to see them use Jamal? I would like to see him one-on-one with Kamara. So that way, if they line him up outside, then Jamal is the one on the back. And then if it works out to where he can blitz in situations where it's advantageous, then fine. But I would much rather see somebody have Kamara in those one-on-one situations.
Well, we've talked about it before when we've previewed games with Niners, Rams, teams of that nature. That was the reason you draft Jordan Brooks, is for that sideline to sideline speed and tackling ability and big hits. So
maybe he's the guy, because having him on tight ends has not worked out all that well.
No, it has not. And I think if we're going to talk about how to use Jamal Adams, I think that's an interesting conversation, just listening to some other folks talk about it a little bit. And, we mentioned the idea of them having to drop linemen when he's blitzing and things like that. But they also, when they see him in man coverage, when it's not zone, when it's man, and Adams is out in coverage, they target him every time. So you've got the special player in the box, and you're not getting home on the blitzes because they always come from the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I'd like to see them use him on some stunts.
Yeah.
And loop him around. I think that might be more effective. But it's kind of a conundrum to have a guy that plays like Jamal plays in the way that stresses your defense, because now you're playing single high all the time. And that's something that the league started figuring out in about 16. And it just makes it a little bit harder. So I don't know exactly what you do.
Well, and these are the situations to where you say, okay, Pete, figure out the defensive part. But on the other side of the field, you've got Sean Payton, who is a pretty dang smart coach. And yeah, and maybe that's where some of those calls for Pete's head come from. And that's kind of those days of where you expect Pete to scheme things up and figure it out. You're not seeing that as much as you are the way from an offensive coach on the other side of the field, like Sean Payton.
Yeah, there's definitely an element of that. And I think the reason why a lot of people are frustrated too is this is something that we've been seeing almost through the entirety of Pete's tenure. I mean, even in the LOB days, the defense getting off to slower starts and Pete talking in his pressers and, we're just a fit away. We're just, one communication away and all of that, and then turn it around. So he's got a belief that if he sticks to his system, if he sticks to his guns, if he just gets the guys to play the right way to do their job, then it's all going to buff out and that defense is going to be okay again. And I don't know that this group of guys is a group of guys that can pull that off.
It's one thing to hear Pete say it, but I'm also hearing it from Bobby Wagner. So now do you think of Bobby saying that and talking that way in a leadership role? Or do you think he has that belief?
I would almost guarantee that Bobby has some different things to say to the players than he does the media in terms of how things are going.
Mm-hmm.
He's a legit stand-up leader of this team, and he's not going to add any drama to the locker room and try to submarine the season by airing out laundry. So yes, he's going to parrot what the head coaches say. I mean, this isn't Jacksonville where Urban Meyer comes out and says something and then Trevor Lawrence comes out and says something completely different. You know, there's the team is a little more responsible than that. So.
I understand not saying something different, but I also think that Bobby could choose not to go there at all, rather than saying that he thinks that they're close. I mean, look at the way that Quandre Diggs, you definitely sense the frustration, but he says he goes out of his way to say that he's not saying anything.
Yeah. Everybody's got different styles, but also too, I mean, Diggs has been there for just a couple of years, whereas Bobby's been there for the better part of a decade.
That's true. And Bobby cashes a significantly higher paycheck, and Diggs wants that paycheck.
Right. That's right. So there's a lot of factors there. I guess I don't think it's Bobby's job to come out and put the organization on blast.
No, and I wasn't thinking that putting it on blast. It was more that going back to that idea of him kind of saying the same thing as Pete, as far as the defense being really close to getting it together.
And I mean, I guess maybe they are. It does seem like that at least DJ Reed has settled in on the opposite side of the field, and that looks to be a much better spot for him. Just not having Flowers out there is an upgrade, even if Sidney Jones hasn't been a world beater. And you saw some flashes from Trey Brown. So maybe that's going to be the thing that kind of turns things around. That and a little more Ryan Neal and almost said Ryan Clark. Just Steelers were in my head.
Making that comparison isn't too far off.
No, I mean, they kind of have similar games. But yeah, it's the defense has ways to go yet, for sure. I do think that just promoting from within and just doing something different, I think they do need to shake it up. But like I said on the last podcast, there's a 0% chance that Pete does that with Russ on the shelf. There's no way. And with the extra wild card spot this year, it does give you some extra hope for the second half of the season.
It makes this game that much more critical because the Saints are going to be one of those teams that you're going to be vying for one of those final spots with. They have the 3-2 record. I think they have a good enough team to make the playoffs. And, it's them, it's Minnesota. Really, there's not a whole lot of teams that are going to be, when you think of those 6th and 7th spots, I think I just exhausted the list.
Well, yeah, it'll be 2 to 3 teams from the NFC West, and then
I was thinking that the two teams, Arizona and the space that Arizona is putting between Seattle. Now, we talked about the fact that they still have to play Seattle twice, but I guess I'm kind of thinking of Arizona and the Rams as a lock, and then the other division winners as a lock. So then you have those 5 spots, and then you're talking about spots number 6 and 7. And
I'm still not a believer in the Cards either. I mean, I understand that they have definitely rattled off a hot start to their season. There's no doubt about it. I'm not a Kyler believer. I don't think he's a 17-game quarterback.
I know, but they only need to win like 3 more games to have a playoff caliber record now.
Yeah.
At some point you have to say the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs.
Oh, they've put themselves in great shape for it. There's no doubt about it. But I kind of bank on them having a tailspin.
I do too. At this point, it's going to be difficult to tailspin enough to find yourself outside the playoffs.
I've seen them do it in years past.
I'm rooting for it.
Oh, me too. Yeah, for sure. I'm rooting for them to get a win here against the Saints. How have they been against the run this year so far?
The Saints against the rush. Rush DVOA. Number 2 in the NFL.
Does not bode well. Does not bode well.
Because that's how you would. Well, and then you have Alex Collins, who is fighting back from injury. It sounds like he might be able to play, but Chris Carson goes on injured reserve too. If Alex Collins is hurt, you're counting on Rashaad Penny and DeeJay Dallas and Travis Homer. Against the number 2 DVOA defense.
Hey, Homer had 2 nice third down plays in the game. You got to give him credit where credit's due. Unfortunately, that's only going to embolden the Seahawks to use him more in that role and in those situations, which is a real bummer because that was more lucky than good, I'm going to guess.
Well, the blocking on that 3rd and 7 run was solid. Now, I think that they ran it in that situation with the idea that they would have had to go for it on 4th down at that point in the game.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
I don't know.
And it was a surprise. I mean, it caught me off guard. I'll tell you that. I mean, it caught Rabes off guard too.
Yeah. So that play is going to work every once in a while, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, if you're the Saints, you load up on the run, you sit on everything short because Geno's not really pushing it downfield.
You got Marcus Lattimore that you could put on DK Metcalf.
Yeah. Do we need to talk about DK and Shannon's spat and how ridiculous that is?
Yeah, I think we can touch on it if people didn't see it.
Okay.
It happened on Twitter for one.
Yeah, so it doesn't much matter. But yes, Shannon Sharp is like, why are you doing that at the end of the game? You know, get out of bounds, blah, 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 whatever it was he said. But, and then DK comes back and like says something super disrespectful to Shannon Sharp. And look, I get it. Like, as somebody who does not like the Broncos and does not like the Ravens, I've always had a little sports hate in my heart, a lot of sports hate in my heart for loudmouth Shannon Sharp.
Calling him a washed up wannabe is probably...
He's a Hall of Famer, dude.
I know. That's washed up wannabe is pretty strong words for a guy who made it into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. So I DK takes some things oddly personal. He's got a little Kevin Durant in him.
Yeah. Do you think he's out on Twitter under fake Twitter accounts? No, because he just uses his own.
I'm stunned. Well, he uses his own, but I'd be stunned if he doesn't have a couple burners.
Yeah.
Just there was no need for that. Just take the criticism and just be like, fine, whatever.
Unless that's what fuels you. I mean, guys like Kevin Durant, I feel like they do get fuel out of that somehow. And maybe that's, you know, in some kind of weird way, they need that to believe that there's people out there that, I mean, shoot, look in the field goals comment section and they think that Shane Waldron has been force feeding DK the ball too much.
Okay.
I don't understand that either.
I don't either. I guess the only argument I would make for that argument would be I'd like to see some more Gerald Everett. I mean, holy smokes, his play to get it to the goal line was outstanding.
Yeah, he almost got it over the line, too.
Yeah. I just think he's a very dynamic pass catcher in a mismatch that is just right now being underutilized. And I understand he was gone for 2 games with the vid and all that, but still, like, I'd like to see him incorporated into the offense more.
Yeah, they aren't using him enough. And, you know, it's one thing if you're coming off an injury, but he wasn't coming off of an injury. I feel like he should be relatively fresh.
You would think, but then again, I mean, everybody has different reactions coming back from the COVID thing.
I think he was asymptomatic the whole time. I think he just tested positive.
Okay,
I don't. Right. Well, I don't know. I'm not in the locker room or anything, but
yeah.
That was the impression that I got.
Yeah, well, he looked damn good on that one catch. I can say that. I mean, he looked symptom-free there.
More of that, please. More Gerald Everett looking like that.
The other thing coming up with this Saints game, you said, okay, they've got Lattimore to throw on DK. Well, that's all fine and good. But Lockett had a quiet game this last week. That usually means that he has a go-off game the next game. And they're going to need that.
I hope so. I think they're going to need that against the Saints. They're going to need everything they have in this game just to keep things going. We need to get people at the stadium too. I looked at the ticket prices and I saw tickets as low as $50. So yeah, they've never been that low. Now I know Russ isn't there. You want to go and you want to watch your quarterback, Russell Carrington Wilson, but let's get behind Geno.
Oh, sure. Get behind Geno. And look, that stadium will be full on game day.
Better be.
It will. We're not Atlanta. Come on now.
Yeah, don't make us look like Atlanta people.
Yeah.
Other injury impacts besides Alex Collins. Damian Lewis looks like he sat out practice on Thursday. That's not good news. And Alex Collins also sat out. So limited participants, Brandon Shell, Abuehi, Sidney Jones with concussion, Darrell Taylor, limited participant, and other guys were just resting. So could be another Jamarco Jones game.
Yeah, I mean, really, for the most part, he did fine. I mean, poor Brandon Shell, he got used and abused in that game. I mean,
going up against Watt. But also, I mean, Jamarco went up against Cam Hayward, so and he didn't do any worse than Damian Lewis did.
No.
Lewis got beat pretty good sometimes.
And you did see, too, I was curious with Geno starting this game and just how the offense was going to run, to see if the pass protection was going to be better for Geno than maybe for Russ, just because of Russ's play style and all that. Nope.
About the same.
Nope. And Geno Smith is too short. He just gets all his passes knocked down.
That was weird, seeing all the batted passes.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to have that concern that Geno is going to play too well to cause a controversy.
No, but he did look the part. He did look competent as a backup QB. I mean, think about a lot of the other ones you've seen come in throughout the years, and just you're like, oh, they're a train wreck.
Right.
Geno is definitely not that. And that's why I still and forever will not have any interest in Cam Newton. None.
Apparently the Seahawks didn't have any. Well, they maybe had a little interest in Cam Newton because Pete early this week mentioned that they spoke to him, but nothing further than that. And then this week they claim Jacob Eason off waivers from the Indianapolis Colts.
Hooray.
And he's going to wear Dave Craig's number 17.
Okay. All right. Well, it'll be nice not seeing that on the field because he's not going to play. How much taller did Luton look next to Russ during the coin flip?
Yeah. You had to wonder, too. Were you not wondering who was going to come out for the coin toss in overtime? Or did you assume?
I wasn't because I was driving. However, watching it on the condensed version and going back and going out for the coin toss, I remember they had said that Luton had gone out with Russ. But then when I watched it, I had forgotten that. And I'm like, who the hell is 9? Who is this guy? Who is this tall guy?
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, right. Okay, that's who that is.
Luton.
I
always have a hard time not saying gluten. Jake Luton. Jay Gluten.
That gets you, huh?
I don't know. I don't know why.
I don't know. Maybe you are gluten intolerant.
I am a little bit gluten intolerant.
Yeah.
And also a little gluten intolerant too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Ah, well, that sucks. You're a glutard.
Yeah,
you're not a lactard, are you?
I am way more lactose intolerant than gluten intolerant.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All the things. See, maybe that's the good thing about traveling as much as I do. Like my stomach is like iron. I can shovel any junk in there I want. That another bonus of being single for as long as I was, like most of my meals coming from the gas station, Town Pump.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, I can eat hot garbage. And if I'm homeless tomorrow, I'm fine.
I forget what I was going to
I don't know. Transition out of that. Good luck.
I can't. I'll just cut it out and then I won't have to worry about transitioning out of it. Maybe we should just get to the second half of the show.
Feels about time.
Oh, I remember what else I was going to get into. I figured we would talk about the Saints injuries because the Saints are coming back healthy. They're coming off a bye week. And yeah, they're pretty much getting everybody back, not named Michael Thomas. Well,
I'm really glad you brought that up, Mr. Debbie Downer. Appreciate it.
Hey,
I'm glad you gave us that update that the Saints are ready to roll full strength.
Got to get the second half of the show kicked off the right way.
Yeah.
The first half wasn't enough of a downer. Be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Let's do our official segment of the NFC West Roundup.
Let's see. The Seahawks were the only NFC West team to lose last week. Is that our update?
No, didn't the Niners lose?
No, they didn't play. They were on a bye week.
Oh, I guess that last loss just still sticks with me. Trey Lance just like hucking it all over the field at 5,000 miles an hour.
They're going to get Jimmy G back and healthy this week, though.
Whoop-de-doo.
For one game.
Yeah, maybe 2.
Game and a half.
I'll be generous. Yeah.
Stupid Rams. Stupid Cardinals beating the Browns 37-14. I was kind of counting on the Browns.
That's your fault. That's a you problem. Why would you ever count on the Browns for anything?
Because it was the Cardinals.
That's like getting back with your ex for like the 14th time. It'll be different this time, I swear.
You saying the Browns are my ex?
The Browns are like a terrible ex. Yes.
For me?
For anybody. Don't have any faith in that team.
I knew I couldn't count on the Giants to beat the Rams. I just was kind of thinking that maybe they could keep it closer than 38-11.
That's hilarious.
Jaguars got their first win.
I did not see that. I didn't catch a lot of football on Sunday.
That was the London game.
Oh.
Yeah, and they beat the Dolphins. So there you go. You should be happy about that.
I'm always happy when the Dolphins go down.
Yeah.
I had somebody tell me today that they're thinking that Deshaun Watson's coming back and that Miami's trading for him.
That is the rumor that's going around, is that Miami wants to trade for Watson.
Well, I'm sure they want to trade for him because they don't have a soul and they're morally bankrupt as a franchise. How in the world do you trade for a dude who is accused by 5,000 chicks of being a pervy skeezer?
That's a large number.
It is. Anything over 1 is a large freaking number.
I think football teams want to win football games, and that's why it ends up happening. I'm not defending them, but I am saying that the Cowboys signed the freaking dirtiest dude of all time.
Oh God, who was that? I want to say Gregory, but I know it's not Gregory, and I don't want to disparage him in that way.
I think it was a Greg.
The dude who threw the chick on the couch with all on the pile of guns.
Greg Hardy. Yeah, Greg Hardy.
Oh, what a gem that guy.
That guy got another chance.
Yeah. Well, him, Kareem Hunt's still in the league, all sorts of fun stuff. So,
yeah. So it would not shock me for the Dolphins to trade for Watson.
I guess. But man, that would be, if the Seahawks did something along that nature, let's say we were in the Dolphins' shoes and they pulled off a trade like that, that might be a hard pass for me. I might stop watching.
That would be tough. It would be tough.
I couldn't root for him.
Well, especially when you consider as strong as, well, I guess John Schneider's comments weren't directly related to the idea of just being pervy, but as you put it, but yeah.
Well, we don't know exactly what went down. There hasn't been a lot of those allegations that are public, just that we know that they're there, right? That there's at least 20 of them.
And it sounds kind of pervy. That's about the extent of our knowledge, right?
That's about the extent, and that's enough. I mean, that's enough. I mean, obviously, you think the Texans don't want to win football games?
Well, I think he just doesn't want to play for the Texans either. And I guess he has that kind of leverage that he could just not play.
Well, leverage is one way to put it, or problem would be another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, in summation, screw the Dolphins.
Absolutely. And the Cowboys. They're at fault for this too.
Always and forever.
All right. What do you say we welcome some members of the flock?
I am glad to. I mean, I know last week was, a skunk.
It wasn't technically one, and I'll explain why. But I want to thank our executive producers, DCH, Dustin Mock, Brian Shaw, Kevin Watterson, and Jake Burdine. Also, Gordon Smith. I forgot to mention Gordon on the last show, but he came in with a 12/12 annual donation, so he's one of our executive producers for the month as well. And Henry Widman came in just right after we finished recording last week, so I'm not counting last week as a skunk.
Yeah, Henry saved us. What a hero. Henry's a hero.
Henry the hero, welcome to the flock. Also, a big thanks to Nuno, who has come in before with a donation. Yeah. But Nuno came in with a $57 donation. Says, hi, Brandon and Adam. It's 1:30 a.m. in Portugal. Love the podcast. Love the Pick'em League. Just made a donation of $50 via PayPal. Tried to make it via Patreon, but I was having some issues. Not having the best of luck in life lately, but since I just literally now made some nice money betting this week on the NFL, let's spread some joy. And I hereby cleanse my chakra. May our luck change for the better in the future. Go, Geno, go. You can do it. All the way from Portugal. Tuga Hawk. Go Hawks.
Awesome, man. I think things are going to look up for him right now. I mean, it sounds like he had a little bit of a bad stretch there, but it starts with, some good money luck, which, trickles down to us, which I'm not complaining. No. That's great. And yeah, I feel like his Hawker is in a better place now.
So big thanks to Nuno. If you want to get in the flock, you can go to getintheflock.com. You can also go to tinypiecesofseahawksstuff.com and comment, Go Hawks. We got a DK Metcalf tiny piece of Seahawks jersey, and be sure and check that out. Oh, also, I mentioned before, we are giving tickets away. So if you are a member of the flock up at Patreon, I've posted there. You can go and find it. And we're going to be giving tickets away to the Monday night game against the Saints and then another primetime game against the Jaguars. And so if you haven't been to a primetime game, or if you haven't been to an NFL game ever, be sure and let us know. And we are going to pick somebody for tickets here on Friday. And then we'll have to make a decision on the Jaguars game probably Thursday next week.
Okay. That's a cool opportunity for folks.
We need you to represent us at the game.
Absolutely.
And since Adam's going to be traveling all over the United States these next few weeks.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to pack the podcast gear. And Brittany redid the camper so that it is the little micro camper. So it's much more usable as a living space and therefore, AKA traveling podcast studio.
Nice work.
And the best part about it is she didn't melt anything with acid while she did it.
That is a bonus. You couldn't ask for anything more, really.
No, I really couldn't. She did an excellent job. She's really great when you just keep the acid out of the equation.
Just keep the acid away from her and everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Looking at the Pick'em League, Jesper Sacco got the win. 12 picks correct in week number 6. And so congratulations to Jesper. Beat out Nathan Devas, Quentin Dunbar's Alibi, I Need Flowers to Wag My Dixon, Clever and Suggestive Name, You Potty Mouth, Let Bobby Rush, and The Real Reality all came in with 11. Jesper getting the win. And then, let's see, who do we got leading it overall? I think we're in the same spot overall with Peaceful Easily Feeling. There you go. 3 picks ahead of Honey Hole Hawk and what happened here? Peaceful Easily Feeling. Oh, and then Honey Hole Hawk. For whatever reason, it left off week 6.
Oh.
The PEF came back to the pack a little bit with only 8 picks right. So, yeah. Honey Hole Hawk, Hurricane Seahawks, and Ashton Winneman. Top 3.
It's getting exciting.
The BFT did pick against the Seahawks again this week.
Okay. Well, again, he's the one that gets to.
I changed it back. Remember last week I said no picking against teams that beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. The Steelers, that qualifies.
Actually, it doesn't. It doesn't qualify because the refs beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that too, I suppose, a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of it. I'm still mad about that. How is that offensive pass interference? It's not.
How does Matt Hasselbeck get flagged for trying to tackle a guy who has the football?
I don't know.
The refs tried to give Big Ben another tuck rule type play.
Oh, can we talk about Mike Tomlin and his hissy fits?
Sure.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a full ass meltdown about what happened at the end of the game, which was entirely correct. Everything that the refs ruled was correct. And even if they hadn't stopped to review the play and stopped the clock at 3 seconds, like the ref said, that's how it went.
Yeah.
Even if it just all went this in succession as it did in real time, the real reality of that is they spiked it with 1 second left.
I think Tomlin would push back and say at least the Seahawks would have had to hurry their field goal unit onto the field and not have all that time given to them while they were reviewing that play.
You don't have to hurry them on the field. You have the same play clock as normal.
That's true. They still had to spike the ball because after they reviewed it and then get the field goal unit on the field. So,
right.
Yeah.
Either way, it was spiked and you had your regular time to trot the field goal unit out. Just being a crybaby catfish ass.
He just wanted to get his underwear in a bundle a little bit.
I guess. And he was having little histrionics over Ben's fumble. It's like, dude, that's a fumble. Listening to Wyman talk about that was freaking hilarious. If you didn't hear his call of the Ben fumble, him going off on like the rules and how like for the longest time we didn't know what catches were and like, you know, a catch is a catch. And then at one point he's like, you know, we could get like a child in here right now and they would be able to say that this is a fumble. They would know instantly that was a fumble. Hell, even I know that it's a fumble, you know, like this. It was so funny. He was in rare form on that one.
I don't know how you could argue anything different in that situation.
You can't because them's the rules.
It was a fumble.
Yeah.
Unless, like I said, Big Ben was trying to pass the football to himself, in which case he didn't successfully catch it and he fumbled it.
No, if he was trying to pass it to himself, he was going to try to pass it to his own junk. That's what it looked like.
It looked like that. Kevin Russell comes in, says, what can I say? Adams' rant last week was one for the ages. And whilst I had concerns for his blood pressure, I felt the overall effect was quite soothing. I could feel all the bad vibes flow away and reached a state of calm as Adam assumed the burden of getting it all off our collective chests. As the excellent episode 350 pointed out, we now have a season of no pressure. We can maybe relax and enjoy games without cardiac incident-filled fourth quarters. Flowers is gone, Russ will heal, We'll get better, and Action Green can go in the bin. Who knows? Maybe Ken Norton will even look up defense on Wikipedia. The sky is literally the limit. Let's all look to the future, keep up the great pods, and go Hawks.
Go Hawks, Kevin. I will be the emotional lightning rod for the fan base whenever you need me to. Like, I'm happy to do that. That did feel cathartic in the moment to have that rant, and it was absolutely organic. That's for sure. That sometimes I have them roughly planned out in my head, which it's a lot of a plan for me because I don't plan anything. That one just came. Like, that was just full throttle.
I tried to stay out of your way. I recognized you were in the zone. I stepped aside, and you let that one rip.
How do you not know that the Rams run up tempo? Like, how do you not know that?
You're still mad about that?
Yeah.
Still mad at the BFT for picking against the Seahawks. He comes in with an email, says, "The BFT here. I must first apologize for not contacting you earlier in the season to thank you for inviting me to join the Ring of Honor. I, of course, had no hesitation in accepting. Brandon, I listened to your explanation for changing my correct Rams pick to a Seahawks pick. I fully understand not being allowed to pick against the Seahawks, but the rest of the explanation about which other teams I could pick completely fried my brain. I asked John Davison for guidance, but to no avail." Many thanks.
You caused confusion overseas, man.
I did cause some confusion. Well, I started throwing out teams that you could maybe pick and maybe not pick, and I recognize that it probably added to the confusion.
Hey, you run the Pick'em League. You make some rules.
Yeah.
You know, that's for you to do.
Barry, just pick who you want and just accept what I change.
I should get back in the Pick'em and just start picking at random and then let you decide which ones I should have picked correctly or didn't. Or
it's
whatever.
Only the Seahawks game. And really, You know what, though? If more people were to pick against the Seahawks, I would have to just shut the league down because I think I had 8 people pick against Seattle this last week. And it's kind of a time suck to have to go in there and change everybody's picks. So
yeah,
8 is kind of doable. But if I had to do a lot, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. So not just a time suck, that's a soul suck.
Right.
Like, yeah, you have to look at all these people that are supposedly fans picking against their own team. Like, that hurts on the inside.
The good thing is, though, is that everybody after I gave the warning last week, none of those people from last week picked against the Seahawks again this week. So I didn't have to kick anybody out.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you're starting to adopt the mantra, it's better to be feared than loved. It's good. I like it. They fear you now.
I just need to, take a little more authoritarian bent to this Pick'em League.
I think I would enjoy Dictator Brandon. I think I would.
If it's just in Pick'em, I think I can fulfill that mission.
No, I take it in life. I think you'd be mostly fairly benevolent, but like, then there'd just be a random week where like a bunch of people chose teams that you thought weren't viable for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's all kind of whimsical the way you made those choices of those teams. Like, I could see that carrying over to other programs, like Social Security. Like, just one week you just be like, no more Social Security.
It's
old people
done.
can work too. And then all the old people would come and work and everything would slow down and then everybody would be mad at you.
And then I maybe rethink my decision. But I'm not going to be rethinking my decision with Barry. He says, many thanks to Adam for putting the case for the defense. So in November, when the Washington football team plays the Seahawks, do I have to pick the Seahawks? And as a result, pick against Washington? I await the ruling of Caesar. On another note, you guys said that podcast 350 was the first in which Russell Wilson wouldn't be your quarterback. In the same time period, the Washington team has had 11 starting quarterbacks. Injuries to quarterbacks happen, and it was eventually going to happen to Russell. Welcome to most NFL teams' world, and he's not out for the season. Anyway, good luck for the rest of the season, and I hope we can all meet up somewhere in the world next year. Best wishes from the BFT.
Looking forward to it, Barry. When the Washington football franchise and their dirty email servers play the Seahawks, feel free to pick your disaster of a franchise. Go for it.
You got to pick Washington against the Seahawks. Take that L that week, Barry.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? I think it'd be.
I'm not going to have to change the pick because you're going to be wrong, and then it's going to be fine.
Exactly. It'll be poetic justice.
John in New York City comes in, says, John Ryan jersey wearer here. There used to be more of us back when he was a Seahawk, but I haven't seen any other 9s in a few years. Now that the Canadian border is open, I'm trying to find a weekend to see him punt in a CFL game as a Saskatchewan Rough Rider. Are there any other 9s out there who have traveled to Canada to see him punt on the long field? I went to a Rough Riders game in Vancouver 2 years ago and didn't see any other Hawks jerseys. And do you know how to get in touch with the Jinja Ninja to see if photo ops are possible? John, not a John Ryan stalker in New York.
Exactly. No, I'll give the Jinja Ninja a call. You know, I mean, we're good friends, so just set that up for you.
You got to find him at a Portland Pickles game, the minor league team down there.
That's a team?
Yeah, the Portland Pickles.
Yeah. What sport do the Portland Pickles play?
It's minor league baseball.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. You've never heard him talk about how he owns that team?
I don't listen to John Ryan talk.
No?
Dylan
the Pickle, the mascot? Doesn't ring a bell?
No. I did not know that there was a professional franchise named the Portland Pickles with players.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't been in Russell Wilson's scouting report yet.
That's true. I suppose Russ has a lot of extra time for that. I would think they'd be very, very creative from here on out.
I feel like if you get to a game early enough, rock your John Ryan jersey in the front row ahead of the game. He'll be out there punting in warm-ups. He's got to see number 9 in the stands.
Yeah. And I mean, you can yell your own name. Like he'll hear you.
John, it's John.
John, I'm another John with a John jersey. Come over here. Let's have a John picture.
Doesn't seem like it should be that hard to get his attention. Do people even go to games in Canada?
I don't know if they are now. They used to go to games.
I don't know. Dave in Jersey comes in, says, just about the end of the first quarter in Pittsburgh, and I am compelled to throw out a do better. Can this defense stop pulling the bull catfish attempt at stripping the ball 5 seconds after the receiver is on the ground? While it's super awesome to put in some extra effort for a fake fumble and the requisite nonsense theatrics, maybe the defense can try covering people and tackling them instead. For the last 2 catfish years, Seattle defense, please do better. Please.
That was excellent. Now he needs to get off my corner. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that, but that was a good do better because he's 100% right. We even hit on it earlier in the podcast, the ridiculousness of the punch out. But yeah, 100% right, 0% wrong.
Yeah, Dave had to come in the moment. That's when the passion strikes.
Yes. Yeah. I understand that for sure.
Well, speaking of do better, what do we say we get into some passionate call-outs here in this episode?
Yeah, passionate call-out. That's what I love, passionate call-outs.
Passionate call-out to do better.
All right, man. My passionate call-out for the week is, it's just a funny phrase, is for Amazon and the evil that is Alexa. Because a lot of you have that ridiculous spy in your home and, for the convenience of not having to flip a light switch and giving it control of all of your household systems and everything. And I mean, when your robot overlords come for you, it's going to be on you. But Amazon has taken this to another level, and I'm not comfortable with this at all. This is a terrible idea in every way, shape, or form. I saw an ad on the Amazon for eyeglasses that you can put your prescription in that has Alexa built into the catfishing glasses. So now you can take that dirty spy with you everywhere you go. And not only that, like you might be in a different room when you're with your dirty spy in your home, but when it's on your face, it hears everything that you say. Like how desperately do you need information at the drop of a hat that you have to wear Alexa spy glasses while you're walking down the street? And on top of all of that, you're going to be one of those weird people that talk in the air to nobody there. You're going to be one of those. You're going to be a crazy person if you buy those stupid Alexa glasses. Amazon, do better.
I'm going to buy them. Yeah, and try to tell Alexa that my prescription is X-ray vision.
Good luck.
I think it'll work.
You think it'll work?
Well, do you remember as a kid reading like the comic book magazines, and they always had the X-ray glasses that you could buy and that you could send off for?
Yeah.
I never did get
them.
So
basically, out of all the superpowers, you would want X-ray vision?
No.
Okay, good, perv. You don't. That's not the one you want. You don't want Deshaun Watson vision. Like you want.
Obviously,
fly.
if you're a perv, you want invisibility. Duh.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, you want to fly. Flying is the superpower.
Yes, flying. That's the one I was going to pick.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad. I just wanted to flesh that out.
Or teleportation. That would be better than flying, I think. As long as it's not the wimpy kind of teleportation where you actually have to see where you're teleporting to. I want legit, like, being able to teleport to the other side of the world.
Gotcha. You just want to be beamed up and beamed out wherever you can, wherever you want.
Yeah.
Hey, I get it. I get it. It would definitely be more efficient.
It's more efficient than flying.
Yeah. Depends on how fast you fly. What if you could be like a Mach 5 flyer?
I could still get there faster than you by teleportation.
I know, but not that much faster, and I'd get the joy of flying without having to wait in line at the asinine airport.
I could teleport up into the air and fall to get that sensation for a little bit, and then just teleport back to where I want to
be. Yeah, okay. All right, just don't teleport into my way because I'm going Mach 5.
My do better this week is for Jeff Hobson of Bengals.com. Man, oh man, the Seahawks, they allow Trey Flowers to leave. He goes to the Bengals. Listen to this description of our former cornerback, Trey Flowers. The Bengals appeared to have picked up a fortuitous waiver claim on Thursday when they grabbed former Seahawks cornerback Trey Flowers off the wire in the wake of placing cornerback Trey Waynes on injured reserve with a severe hamstring injury. The 6'3", 203-pound Flowers, 26, who made 40 starts in Seattle, figures to push for a starting job opposite Chidobe Awuzie, as well as offer some safety versatility. Flowers, the 12th player the Bengals have brought in with postseason experience, started 3 playoff games for Seattle. After taking him in the 5th round out of Oklahoma State in 2018, the Seahawks converted him from safety to cornerback, and he replaced Richard Sherman with 15 starts in each of his first 2 seasons. Jeff Hobson is promoting Trey Flowers as the Richard Sherman replacement in Seattle. Hey, sign me up for this cornerback that the Seahawks apparently got rid of. This guy sounds amazing. Jeff Hobson of Bengals.com. Do better.
Look, man, there's one thing that you got to give them a little bit of grace here. I mean, what do Bengals fans get to be fired up about? Very little. But one thing that he did, he must have failed math because he thought like one Trey was like, replaceable by another Trey and it'd be fine. And it's just not. He's not the same Trey.
Not the same. I like the quote that they use though, because it goes from wildly unrealistic to a pretty realistic scouting report. We liked him as a safety when he was coming out, said Steven Radicevic, the Bengals director of pro scouting. He can probably play multiple roles on defense. He's a tall, long corner that has played a lot of big games and won a lot of big games in Seattle. Given the situation we're in with Trey getting hurt, we obviously think it's a move that helps us.
Well, I mean, look, they need to be a little glass half full. Like that's just
that's a very realistic, saying that they liked him when he was coming out, which you're pointing back to when he came out of college, not to what you saw in Seattle. He can probably play multiple roles. Probably. Not saying he can.
Yeah, maybe.
And he focused on the fact that he's tall and long, which is just an accurate description of his body style.
There you go. Yeah.
So this is See, Steven knows how to compliment a player to make him sound good when really you're not saying much of anything at all.
There you go. I bet you his spouse or significant other is a very happy human being. I love you, baby. Yeah. No, I have feelings too.
On to better at life.
Okay, can I throw in a bonus do better because of something that happened today that I just found absurd?
I do. Do you need to ask me for a bonus do better?
Yeah, I do. You're half the show, man. Like, I can't just run roughshod over this thing.
Yeah, I would have given you my do better spot if you would have asked.
Oh, okay. Well, bonus do better. So, one of the things, if I were elected president tomorrow, that I would do, or if I got to be dictator, since we're speaking of such things this episode, apparently, the third thing I would do is outlaw writing checks in the checkout line. It drives me catfish crazy. I can't stand it. And it's always some old blue hair lady who like writes in calligraphy, right? Takes 74 minutes just so that they can run the check like a freaking debit card electronically. Right?
I take it back. I do not give you my do better spot. You've brought this up on the show before, probably more than once.
I know, but there's a twist. This is a new wrinkle. So there were 2 checkout lines open. And so I go to the other one because I see this gal starting to write a check. And I'm like, no, not dealing with this crap. I hate this. So I go to the other line. As I approach the teller helping the lady writing the check grabs the check and walks over to her and is like, can you write 38 and 16? Like $38.16. So like she had written in the amount in the number section of a check. For you young people, there's 2 places you write the amount on a check. So then you write it out in words, 38. So she kind of looks at him and he's like, I just don't want to misspell it. I don't know what to do. I can't do this. So the gal who's writing the check couldn't write her own damn check. The teller who was trying to help her refused to write in the check because he can't catfishing spell, and then brought it over to my line to have my teller write out the check. I was trying to avoid the other line. To everybody at Huffman's Grocery today, do better.
I can't believe you live in a backwards place that still accepts checks.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Like everybody listening to you right now is like, where do you live that they actually still accept checks? No place is still, they've gone away from that.
Oh, well, not in Phillipsburg, Montana. Nope. You can still do that and get your mail Pony Express probably if you wanted to.
On to Better at Life.
All right, man. I didn't really have a Better at Life. So my Better at Life this week is going to be for me. Because earlier today, I was excavating a big, long trench at my property. And you know, Brandon, there's not a flat spot to be found on our property unless I've made it. And so I was dangling this tractor over the edge of a hill on a chain, got it stuck in a trench, and managed to pull it out with the things that I had on hand. It was kind of a goat rope. It was a little scary. And there was definitely moments where I thought maybe I was going to lose the thing into a trench and have to buy my sister a new tractor. But no, pulled it off, nailed it. And now when I'm done with this at 10 o'clock at night, I get to go out there and play with said unstuck tractor. And so I am the man, and I am better at life than Skip Bayless.
I like that. Giving it to yourself. You could have given it to yourself for taking Do Better twice in one show even.
Sweet. I have a bonus, Better at Life. My Better at Life is also for me for taking 2 Do Betters. Better at Life than Skip Bayless me.
All right. Well, my Better at Life this week is for Jamal Adams. There was one particular soundbite that jumped out at all of us on Sunday watching the football game. We heard Jamal Adams at the start when they're doing their intros make this statement.
Jamal Adams, I'm the best in the nation.
Now, you hear Jamal say that he's the best in the nation, and what did half of everybody who was on Twitter go and do? They immediately...
Oh, what a guy. His ego's the size of Texas. I can't stand Jamal Adams.
Exactly.
They did it in that voice, too.
Exactly. That's how it sounded. Some people went and did that immediately on Twitter. Some people maybe heard it and said, yeah, he's right. He could say that. He got paid this offseason. But you know what? There were also some that wondered what that was all about. Like, why would he say that? And that's why my Better at Life this week, not just for Jamal Adams, it's for John Heffling of Deadspin. Because Deadspin, notorious for just, bashing on people. But it was John that wrote up this article afterward and says, turns out Jamal Adams wasn't saying he was best in the nation. It goes back, it's actually a tribute to Travis Ward, who was killed 1 year ago, and it was a viral video that, maybe it didn't get around to all of us, but it was a video of Travis when I think he was in high school at the time. And this is what he said.
Tell Larry you're the best player in the state right now.
Coach Larry, you know we good, boy. You already know I'm the best in the nation. Supposed to be number 1 right now.
See, Jamal even nailed the inflection. Yeah. And John made sure and let people know that, yes, it was a tribute. It was not boasting. And so to Jamal Adams and John in tandem, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Well done, Brandon. Extra better at life, bonus better at life is for you because yours is better than mine. Good job.
5 better at lives in the better at life segment. We're really breaking records. This is the best podcast in the nation.
The nation.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.